Hello everyone, my name's Dan Dodman. I'm a partner at RWK Goodman and the head of our dispute resolution team. When I'm not litigating, I'm really interested in history, and some of you may have seen a walk that I did on the merger of the firm in London. We're quite a long way from my normal patch today. We're in Bristol to celebrate the opening of the new RWK Goodman Bristol office, which is just there. So I've brought my camera, obviously being filmed, and we're going to go for a little wander and see some of the historical sites and the commercial history of Bristol. Industrial, it's great, isn't it? So we're still in Castle Park at the moment, and we've just come to the middle of the park to see St Peter's, which is just behind us. Obviously it looks like a ruined church, and it looks like it's been ruined for a long time, but actually it hasn't. This whole area, although it's a park now, was originally the bang centre of Bristol's commercial district. It was one of the major shopping areas, all the way up to November 1940, when the Luftwaffe did a major blitzing raid, big bombing raid, and completely ruined most of this area. After the war, there was a whole debate about what to do with the space. A lot of historic buildings have been lost, some had still been preserved, but the decision was made in what I think is quite an interesting piece of city planning to turn the entire area into a park, which is now what it is, save for some of the older Rex buildings. So for example, over there, and there's another one which we're going to have a look at in a minute. Over there, that building, which is a really remarkable building that looks a little bit like a cotton swab, is actually a shot tower. So shot towers are these really interesting things, and it's very close to the size of the first ever shot tower built in the 1700s. And what you do is you go right to the top of the building and you get molten lead and you pour it through a sieve. And as the lead falls down through the tower, it turns into a perfect circular shape, and you have water at the bottom and it cools, which means that you can make musket balls in a really effective way, or shot for shotguns. What I find really fascinating is that the original tower was demolished, I think, in the 1960s, and they rebuilt that one to still be a shot tower. So it's the last shot tower ever built, almost exactly close to where the first shot tower ever built was. It's quite a cool picture. Should go around that way. Pigeons are great. You can never have too many photographs of pigeons. There you go. So, we were just talking about the bombing, and this is the memorial to everyone that lost their lives in the bombing during the Second World War. It's a sobering long list, isn't it? And we've come here to the Corn Exchange in Bristol, which is an amazing building built in the 1740s. It's still used as a market inside. It's actually one of the only, in fact it is the only 18th century exchange which still exists in England. So it's pretty unique in terms of its actual building. But one of my favourite parts of it, probably my most favourite part, is the clock up above. You'll see that it has 2 minute hands, which is quite unusual. And 1 minute hand is about 10 minutes behind the other. And the reason for that is when this clock was installed in the 1820s, Bristol had its own time zone, effectively. Unlike, it didn't go for GMT. In fact, it didn't change the GMT until about 1850s, once the railway started to come in. So you could be in Bristol at 12:30 when it would be 12:40 in London. And that only became an issue when people started to get trains and obviously started to miss trains on the basis of it. So when this was up there, it had both the London time and the Bristol time, which is quite a nice, neat little thing. So this isn't a pub table, just a very elegant pub table if it was, but these are the famous nails in Bristol. There's 4 of them. They used to be in a cloister in a church, and they were moved here later. They're incredibly old, so Some of these are from the 1590s, and there's one that's a little bit earlier. And they were donated by businessmen in Bristol over the period, and some of them have actually got named inscriptions on them for the people that donated them. So there's a wine merchant, John Baker, and a few other people. And the idea was that you would come here and do a deal, and you'd put your transactional piece of paper on the top of it, and then you put the cash in. And if you look at these, they have the rims around them to stop the cash from running off the top of the nail, which is where the phrase "cash on the nail" comes from. Dr. Thomas Wise. So he was. I think he was one of the wine merchants. Right, I think we need to go that way, don't we? Yeah. Yep. He says confidently. So we've been to see quite a different number of parts of Bristol's commercial history. So we've seen the Nails, the Corn Exchange, we've seen Cattle Park where the shopping district used to be. But it would be difficult to look at any of those and look at the commercial past without looking at this statue here, or what's left of this statue here, because it represents a much darker side to Bristol's history, which is its connections, strong connections over many, many years with slavery. This statue, this plinth here, was where the Edward Colston statue used to stand, a high officer of the Royal African Company for about 12 years in the 1680s, 1690s, and it was responsible for trading 84,000 Africans across the seas of the Caribbean. He was actually also an MP for Bristol and campaigned quite heavily to make sure that slavery was kept as a legal, so it was lawful. So generally speaking, not the world's most pleasant man. And it was only 174 years after he died that this statue was erected. So I think one of the things that's quite interesting about it as well is that this statue was almost instantly really controversial. There was a biography of Colston produced in the 1920s which revealed and exposed a lot of his very strong connections with slavery and the fact that a lot of the money had come from slavery. And then there's a long period of debates and discussions about what to do with this statue, about whether it's appropriate for him to be commemorated, and that all flares up on the 7th of June 2020 with a Black Lives Matters protest which happened in this square, and the statue is toppled and then dragged a little bit down the way and thrown into the harbour just down there. Christmas steps. Too steep for me. Yeah. Oh. Meant to do that. Well, thank you very much for coming with us on our historic walk of Bristol. We've ended it here in the beautiful Christmas steps in the surroundings of this very lovely pub. I do hope that you will catch up with our team in Bristol, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.